All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be speaking with an individual coming off of a very impressive victory at BKFC 41, which transpired on April the 29th, and we saw Christine Ferea defend her flyweight championship against Bec Rawlings, and great getting to have Christine back on the show. How's your day going so far, Christine?
It's going great. I'm over in California with family, taking care of some things, so it's great. I'm sitting with my belt still, so I'm happy.
Yeah, is that like a common thing, like post-fight, like just in terms of wanting to like have that, time appreciating with family and stuff like that? Like, is that a common way you like to, I guess, spend after like these big fights and stuff like that, just like with the loved ones and everything?
Yeah, that's the main thing, because my family lives in California. I live in Vegas, or I live in the South, as well. So I don't get to see them as much. And after the fights, I go see my aunts, my mom, my brother, and everything like that, and spend some time with them for about a week, and then I get back to work.
Yeah, well, really happy to hear that you can, have that time now and everything. But, just in terms of like the last time you were getting in that work, that seemed like a big night, both, individually, but just I think a lot was understandably made overall of like the scope of the event and, the ripple effect it seemed to have for, the company and the sport by proxy. As someone who's such like a big figure in this sport, was that something that you really felt as well?
Yeah, that was electrifying. The whole crowd, the build up of it, everything behind it felt very different. I've been here, a long time, and this was by far the biggest show, even bigger than it felt bigger than Knucklemania. The crowd was amazing. Denver's amazing. Just the exposure. I feel like everything did move to a different level. And when I'm out and about, like, more people are recognizing me. So just from this and from this show alone, just the followers, how much more followers I got, and the recognition on the street, it's crazy. This is huge. I think it's bigger than a lot of people know and really see, because I see it with people recognizing me and my following going up.
Well, I love hearing that. I mean, definitely well deserved for sure. But I mean, you were even talking about how it ended up being like an even bigger show than Knucklemania, which was a good, big event in its own right, like the big annual tentpole event. But just even with you being kind of connected between those events, with you initially, you were supposed to fight at Knucklemania. I mean, benefit of hindsight, did everything kind of, work out perfectly just with like, the, adapting to be moved onto this card and everything?
Absolutely, and I fought on Knucklemania previously too, so I had something to compare it to. But yeah, the hindsight, not being able to fight and preparing for that fight in New Mexico for Knucklemania, I believe this was what was supposed to happen. Just like everybody's supposed to, people say when things go wrong, you got to trust the process. I was getting ready for that fight. I was cutting weight, and it's tough. And I leave my home for camps. I don't stay home. So it's like, oh man, I wasted all that time, that money. I put all that money and time into that camp, and I never fought. But I believe that this was the much bigger fight, and got me the most exposure and better for my career. And I think it's set it up for a rematch. So it's setting up, and I believe that sometimes we don't believe something's supposed to happen and the way it did, but later we find out why, and it works out for us if we keep working hard.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, I mean, it sort of worked out perfectly in that regard. Like, I mean, you get the second round stoppage victory, but there's a certain element to the fight where a rematch that could even potentially, draw, more attention relative to the individual bout and stuff like that. So that seems to have worked out perfectly, like getting the win, and it's almost like there's going to be even additional focus on what would seem to be a subsequent rematch here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do believe that. I'd give her a rematch. Do I think I would have won that fight? Yes, I do. I feel like she was going to fade in the second. She was fading in the second, and that elevation would have caught her ass. But yeah, she's a tough girl, and I like that I had to push, and she can hit, and she's precise. So I'm not used to that. I'm not used to that and I feel like I brought the best out in her, and I feel like she looked the best she's ever looked in her whole career, and I look forward to beating that up.
Yeah, and it seemed like your goal was to really steal the show, which I imagine is like a linear goal all throughout these fights, but I did feel like that was, a standout performance. I feel like some of the people almost wanted the fight to go on, like just even in the sense of it was just, so exciting for how long it lasted. So did you think you, I guess, achieved that goal and kind of served that master of really like stealing the show? Because it seems like you did.
Yeah, that's what when I came in there. Like, I could have went in there, stayed on. She's easy to beat on the outside. I know how to beat her very easily. But I am here to make my boss happy. I'm here to make the fans happy. I'm here to have an exciting fight. I like to take chances, and I like to put it all on the line. So I went in there and I banged. I went in there and I wanted to bang. And, the last fight wasn't much of a fight. So, I was kind of itching for that anyways, and I do like to be challenged, and I do like to put myself in risky situations and be able to see what I got, so yeah, I went in there to bang, and I'll go in there to bang again with her because she's up for it, I'm up for it, so there's not very many people that are like that, right now. They're not willing to go in there and take those chances, but she is, so I think that each time that we fight, it's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And that was a perception you seem to have coming in too, like just in terms of thinking your opponent would be able to, I guess, have the most like resistance and durability relative to some of the other people you faced. But I guess like relative to your preconceived notions, like did she do anything in there or bring anything to the table that you didn't kind of foresee transpiring, I guess?
No. I knew, and like everybody was saying, "Oh, you're gonna run through Bec. You're gonna run through Bec." And I'm like, "You guys, like this," and I said it in previous interviews: "Is this girl's tough? This girl is not gonna stop. She's not gonna stop coming forward, and she's not gonna give up." I prepare for everything. I'm not gonna go into a fight and be like, "Oh, I got this," and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like this person, I'm getting beat up or I'm getting hit. So I run visually. Visualization meditations, so I put myself through every kind of scenario with any opponent that I'm with, so I'm never going to be surprised. The power, if she's fast, and she came in way different than she fights usually, so I was ready for that, and I was ready for anything, and I wasn't fixed on her being one way. I was open-minded to her. So I was not surprised with anything at all. But she is tough. She's as tough as I thought she is.
Yeah, and I mean, the respect was shown when we were talking just a bit before the fight, but it also seemed like there was a certain sense of, like, I believe entitlement was the word, like the privilege of, I guess, thinking she could, like, jump back into, like, a title fight scenario just right away. Do you think after that fight that, that dynamic is maybe not the same? Like, does your perception differ in that kind of sense, like in terms of her being, I guess, entitled or something of that persuasion? Like, do you think she's quote unquote kind of earned the, place within that, like, proximity to the title sort of thing?
Well, the reason why she gets a little bit of a pass is because she's the reason why a lot of, for me, myself, I won't speak for other women, but I knew that this was a real sport. This was a sport now, not just an underground thing, So I think, she has a little bit of pull because she did start this, even, but again, she still, in my eyes, she has to earn back that respect after leaving. Like, you just left the sport hanging, and you try to go back to MMA, and you try to do this shit. No, stay. If you like bare knuckle, you love bare knuckle, and this is paying you, and this is giving you exposure, then help build it. Don't be don't come here then leave, or come here then leave. We need consistency with the women, and that's what we need to build. So when she proves that to me, that she's here to build bare knuckle, and she's here to build our division and all that shit, then I could give you that kind of respect, because it takes more when you're a champion and when you're a leader and you're an example. and you want to be in that position, you have to do more than just beat people up and show your ass and tits. Like, you need to be the example, and you need to help build your sport and build the division for the youth coming up behind you. And the people coming up, it's not just about you anymore. You know, you're fighting for yourself, you're fighting for the rest of the girls, you're fighting for everybody. You know, so people don't understand that as being a champion, it's not just you. You know, and there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of things that you need to do to be able to help grow for yourself and for everyone around you.
Yeah, well said, and it's cool that you kind of touched on, like, her, I guess, initial run and kind of, like, articulating that, like, oh, this is, like, a real sport that's, like, forming in a big way, because that was something we were also kind of talking about before, too, just how this fight sort of really, like, rewards the longtime fans who've been watching it from, like, you know, the first handful of events, because both of you asserted yourself on the scene quickly, but also something cool that you mentioned there that I was noticing it in the post-fight interview with Susan Singari, like, you were talking about how much you enjoy paving the way for young women in bare knuckle, and even saying to the extent of, like, I'm probably not going to, like, get the full fruits of this necessarily, but I'm going to lay, like, the groundwork for the next generation. Like, how important is that to you? It seems to be, like, a big part of what you're doing, like, uplifting others and whatnot.
Yeah, I believe, you know, of course I want to make a lot of money, and I want to do this and I want to do that, but if it's not in my cards, it's not in my cards. I can't force that. So my job is to help build it for the next generation, and that's what I can do with it. You know, it's very important to me, and it gives me purpose, and it's a passion of mine, and I come, you know, we saw the deep cuts. People didn't see the deep cuts. It's on bare knuckle. You know, I come from a crazy past. I've gotten a lot of trouble. I'm not a perfect human being. I screwed up a lot. I still screw up sometimes. But I feel like the people, like someone like me that screwed up a lot, can show and maybe be an example and show the youth and even adults that, you know, you can clean your life up. You don't have to stay in that bullshit that you were in. So yeah, it's a big deal for me, especially for the youth. And I love the kids. The kids are just so confused at the time. They don't know what they're doing completely. They don't know the consequences of their actions when they're getting in trouble or doing dumb shit when they're young. So I feel like, you know, I have that look, I have like that persona, I'm like a badass, and they'll listen to me more than their parents, and I'll be able to be like, yeah, look, dude, or little girl, like, you know, you're making these choices, come here to do it. You know, that's what I feel like. I had a whole bunch of counseling. They had a whole bunch of things they were trying to get me on track when I was young, but the only thing that really did it was nutrition and sports. And that's what helps, like the dopamine in the brain, the serotonin, and, you know, with depression and all that stuff, and the negativity. And I get to excrete that negative energy inside the gym, you know. So I believe that boxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu, all that stuff is so good for anybody, not just troubled or, you know, for depression, all of that. So I have a big passion for that, and it gives me purpose, and it keeps me on track, because I'm a little misfit. I don't have misfit name for no reason. I can get sidetracked easily sometimes, and I have to really be on my game and make really good choices in order for me to stay on track. And some of us are like that. Some of us really need to pay attention to ourselves more, and we have a natural drift to the mischief side.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me of just kind of referencing that Susan chat again, like how she was saying you went from misfit to misfit, like talking about the fitness. I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah, no, it's totally, when I first had that name, people were trying to do that idea, like, you should be miss and fit. I'm like, no, I'm misfit. So, yeah, it's kind of cool, because that's what saved me. That's what saves me every day, is being fit and being disciplined. Like today, I'm going to go run, go do my thing. I took my little 7 days off, you know, but I enjoy, and I do this for my mental health too. You know, it's not just for sport. It's for my life, day to day, to keep me doing the right thing and making the right choices and keeping my body healthy and my mind.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm kind of curious, like you're talking about some of the biochemistry associated with like training and the actual sport, just like pursuing this path. I'm wondering how much of a dopaminergic kind of surge you might get from just, continuing to make history, because at this juncture you're up there for most victories of all time among the women, and you're the owner of the longest winning streak in BKFC among the women, and no one has more stoppage victories than you. So how much of a dopaminergic surge do you get from, I guess, continuing to make history like that?
Yeah, it's amazing. So that's what keeps me going as well. So that when I'm here, I'm tired. I've been traveling all over the country for about a year and a half, and I'm tired. But that I start thinking of that, and I know I'm gonna get the best opponent. My opponent's always gonna be the best that night. They're fighting for the world championship. So I get up and I go run, and then I get that surge, and then I get filled back on top of the world. But I do come down, it does. What goes up must come down, and I do have to rest and not always rely on that, because that can be a little overwhelming to the system, you know what I mean? So I that's why I like coming to my families, coming down to earth. Let me see, let me take care of them, and spoil them and spend time with them and all that, and then I go back to the grind, But yeah, the dopamine release on this stuff is crazy, and that's why after I'm gonna also train champions, because I'm probably always gonna search for that surge, because it is all at once, when you win and everybody's around you and congratulating you, and you feel on top of the world, and I want to see that through my students as well.
Yeah, I love hearing that, and just based on how you're even breaking it down to me, it seems like you've got a great mind for the game and a way to articulate it well. So yeah, I could definitely see you succeeding in that for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
And I guess just one last question that I had. I could ask you a ton of questions, but I want to let you enjoy the victory, and I appreciate the time very much, Christine. But I was noticing fun photo kind of popping up from, the last fight card, you with Conor McGregor. What was that interaction like there?
That's crazy. What's really crazy about it is him cornering against me. And I was in between the rounds, between round 1 and 2. Obviously, there was only one round I was in between. I heard him talking to her, and I turned around, and I'm looking at him really, bro? I've been watching you for years, dude. And then my team was focus up, and I'm oh, wait, how do I focus when Conor McGregor's over there trying to get me knocked out? You know what I mean? So it was an insane feeling and surreal. Oh, I was in the back. We were getting ready. We were on deck. They're like, okay, you ready to go out? And then somebody comes up to me Conor McGregor's about to watch your fight. And I said, what? So I find out right before I'm about to go out that Conor McGregor's, and I knew he was here for her. You know what I'm saying? So, it was dope. And then when I met him, he was like, hey, she's my friend. You know what I mean? But he's like, you guys did awesome. So he was a really cool guy, very nice to me. It was awesome to meet him, man. All the people. I got to meet Cerrone as well, Donald Cerrone. At first, I just shook his hand like he was a fan and kept walking. And then somebody said, that was Donald Cerrone? I was like, oh, shit. And I was like, dude, because, when I'm shaking hands, I'm not really looking at people all the way sometimes, because there's so many people. A lot of people, I try to be like, hey, what's your name? Da, da, da. But when at that time you just get bombarded. So I kind of overlooked Cerrone, and I went back. I was like, I'm so sorry, Donald. I've been watching you for years. You're amazing. But yeah, that was crazy. Just all the people. I guess Rose Namajunas was there. I didn't get to meet her. I wish I would have. I met her before I trained with her, but anyway, sorry, I went off on a tangent about all the people that were there. But yeah, Conor was amazing. His energy's great. He has big energy, and I love that.
Family and stuff like that, but just figured I'd, kind of put the ball in your court and see if there's maybe anything you'd want to add as a final parting thought here that we maybe didn't touch on.
No, I just, you touched on pretty much everything that I really wanted to say. A lot of people online, they're like, she was getting beat. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I was picking her apart. She was doing well. She's great at countering, and I'm not going to just I went in there to bang, but I'm not going to be dumb. And I felt her fading, and in the end of 2, if you look, she looks back at her corner, like you could see it. It's the life was leaving her. So I know how to analyze situations. I know where to go, when to attack, when not to. I believe I would have got her in the 3rd or 4th. She really would have started slowing down on her counters. But anyways, that's all I wanted to address. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to BKFC, all my sponsors, my fans, and thank you for having me on.